that's the day my journey began. Basically, when the paramedics left me, my husband left the headphones next to me saying, "You can figure this out." And he was right. So my journey began in January 2020 when I had a horseback riding accident. And it was a regular day when I would go riding. I went riding in the morning. Only this time I fell. Normally, when you fall, you dust yourself and you get back up. This time I couldn't get back up. I got to the hospital and I did an x-ray, and I could see from the tech's demeanor that something was off. And then I was sent for an MRI, and during the MRI, they found out that I had broken my L1. According to the doctors, they had recommended, I said I wanted to go home, and they said, "You may start going numb and you'll have to come back." And I said, "Okay, I'll take my chances." I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I was just laying down, and they said that the ambulance would drop me back home. So that's what the paramedics did. We went back home and they picked me up in the stretcher, they put me in my bed, and they left me. And sure enough, as the doctors had said, 2 days later, I started going numb on one side of my body. Now, thankfully, I had known about the work a year before this injury. So in a way, the universe was prepping me for this moment. Now, as the days went by, yes, the pain is there. I made the choice of not taking opioids just because I figured that I would injure myself further if I did. And I made the choice of that, and I used my meditations to regulate the pain on a daily basis. And at some point during this process, it became more of a mental game, and I knew that I had to work on myself and overcoming myself. There's a lot of time you have when you're lying down and staring at the ceiling in pain. There's not much you can do. And the critical voice did kick in. The critical voice was like, "You should be reading, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, you could be so productive." And I realized that's the critical voice that I needed to deal with. And let's just say I had a lifetime of things that I started working on while I was laying down. There's little things that I did when I got injured. Families wanted to come visit me, but I chose for them not to come visit me because I knew that I would buy into their story of, "Poor you, this happened to you," or that identity of victim would start showing up in me. And I wanted to be super careful that that didn't happen. And so I made the decision, and I told my husband that, please, I don't want anybody to visit me, especially for the first couple of months when I felt like I was the most vulnerable, when I felt like I would have bought their stories, including my own. I just wanted to work through my own stories versus theirs. Instead of looking at the things that I couldn't do, yes, I couldn't horseback ride. Yes, I couldn't work out. Yes, I couldn't get up by myself out of bed without help. Yes, I couldn't. There were plenty of things that I couldn't do, but I just chose to start looking at the things that I was capable of, still capable of doing. And I started counting my blessings, which is like going in gratitude. And so the gratitude put me again in calm, and my body could start healing itself. In a way, I think it was the ultimate test of surrender, and I did surrender. And I think that's where the magic happened. And over time, little by little, it wasn't a sudden transformation. It took me some time. And this is the thing, right? For injuries that take time, this is where it becomes a little bit challenging because the progress that we're seeing isn't as quick as we want it to. But trust me, even that 1% change that you're experiencing is creating a dent over time. And before you know it, you will change. Things will change for you. 3 years into this, I have healed. I have better control over my emotions. My business is thriving. I was in a very different place in my business journey, in my life. If you want to talk about abundance, yes, that has shown up as well. And it is a side effect. It is not something that I was focusing on. I was focusing on my healing. I was focusing on connecting through the meditations. I was focusing on creating a better life. And yes, the abundance just was a side effect. It's not something that I focused on during this process. The doctor's reactions to my healings, they are pretty much speechless. They don't know what to say because here's an MRI that shows my bone broken. And at the time, nobody would give a prognosis. Nobody would say like you could walk. Maybe, maybe not. Only time will tell. We don't know. Nobody knows. When they look at it, even now, they're speechless. Nobody says anything. Like they just don't know what to say.